If you're over 60 and you're still playing solitary games, I'm sorry to disappoint you. You're just wasting your time. Well, tell me, my lovelies, you yourself are well aware that as we age, we all start to think about how to keep our youth, energy, and, pardon the frankness, sex drive. But you know what the interesting thing is? Often people of age resort to very strange ways to maintain vitality. And one of them is a good old-fashioned method I call do-it-yourself. Yeah, you know what I mean. But this is where you have to stop and think about it. Is it good for you, especially as you get older? After all, our body is, let's say, a vessel that needs to be filled with the right energy. And this very energy, believe me, I can tell you from experience, does not come from plums or some other such fruit. So, my dears, if you are over 60, let's discuss why you should reconsider your habits and find a much more interesting and useful way to keep your energy up. But before we delve into this fascinating topic, if my words resonate, subscribe and leave a 6-word comment. Takes a second, but it will help the channel grow. So let's start with the main question. Have you ever thought that instead of wasting your time having fun alone, you should put your energy into connecting with live people? I don't mean casual encounters. I mean truly discovering the joy of connecting with a woman. The older we get, the more we need something real, something that brings not only pleasure but also meaning. Take me, I always say, if you are over 60, stop wasting your energy on nothing. Find a young girl. Yes, you heard me. It is young energy that can fill you up in a way that no other fruit can. Well, what do you think? What would be a more effective way to keep you energized? Leave comments. I value your opinion. Now let's talk about habits. Admit to yourself honestly. How often do you take the time to take care of yourself on your own? No, it's not shameful, don't worry. But here's the interesting thing. Most men, especially at an advanced age, don't realize that they're losing something very important every time they do it. It's like constantly pumping water from a well, not letting it fill up. We women also know our secrets, but believe me, even at my age it is much more pleasant to draw energy from a real source, live communication with a man. And that goes for you too, my darlings. Stop squeezing the last drops out of yourselves. Imagine that instead you find a woman, young, energetic, who is ready to share with you not only joy, but also life forces. Just think how much energy you can get if you channel your efforts in the right direction. All that magic of interaction, the warmth of real communication, is something that can energize you for years to come. And now a question to ponder. What is more important to you? Instant gratification or the long-term vitality that a real woman can give you? You know, in my 70s I can definitely say, youth is not just a number but a state of mind. But it's interesting how many men my age cling so desperately to their habits that weaken them, instead of plunging into a whole new world where youthful energy can not only revitalize, but revitalize. You're probably thinking, well, how is that possible? Would a young woman agree to a relationship with a man in his 60s? And I will answer you this way. Of course it is possible. It's not about age, but about how you present yourself, how open and full of life you are. Young energy is attracted to those who are not afraid to be active, who are ready to give, not only to take. When a man starts a relationship with a young woman, he doesn't just get a new wave of pleasure. He is accessing a priceless energy that he himself may have already lost touch with. This energy helps to bring back not only the vigor of the body, but also the clarity of the mind. It is as if you are finding yourself again, reborn like a phoenix from the ashes. And here it is worth thinking, what is closer to you, to stay in your old habits or to try yourself in a new light? But be careful. Young energy requires commitment. You cannot just sit back and wait for her to do everything for you. Relationships with young women require action, responsibility, and most importantly, emotional maturity. It's not just a physical interaction. It's a full-blown exchange of vitality. So now the question is, are you willing to step outside of your routines and invest your energy in something more important than brief, albeit pleasant, moments of solitude? Think about it and post in the comments what you would do if you had the chance to infuse your life with fresh energy. Do you think age is a barrier? Actually, no. The obstacle is a lack of emotional maturity. How often we meet people who age physically, but their inner world remains at the level of a teenager. Here they can't find a worthy mate because all they want is superficial connections. But young women, they're not like that. They want more. Let's talk frankly. Young women are drawn to those who can give them not only physical pleasure, but depth. They need emotion, fortitude, the ability to keep a conversation going, offer something new, and, of course, genuine care. Emotional maturity isn't about how old you are. It's about how much you understand what's going on in your head and in your heart. In my 70s, I'm well into my 70s. Do you think a young girl will be with you just for the money? Well, she needs confidence, stability, and the energy that only you can give her. If you can keep her, of course. And this is where the most interesting thing comes into play. Emotional maturity isn't just heart-to-heart talk. It's understanding her needs, her wants. It's about listening, being there for her when she needs it, but also giving her space to express herself. And if you can do all that, trust me, you won't have to rely on your old habits to feel alive anymore. Well, my dears, let's now talk about what's really important if you want to attract young energy into your life: physical fitness. This is where no magic pills will help, don't even hope. To stay active and attractive, you need to work hard. And in my 70s, I understand it perfectly well. Let's start with the main thing. The body is a tool that needs to be maintained. How many men over the age of 60 do you think continue to look after themselves? Alas, not many. Most relax, sit in front of the TV, or spend all day in a chair with a phone, forgetting that movement can literally prolong your life. But guess what? It's not that hard. It's all about taking care of your body on a regular basis. And I'm not talking about any complicated exercises or marathons. Elementary things like walking, stretching, and eating right are what really keep you in shape. Believe me, I've had tons of patients who came in complaining of old age and weakness, and all they needed was to add some movement to their lives. By the way, it is regular exercise that allows your body to run like clockwork. The more you move, the better your energy circulates. And that's what makes you attractive, isn't it? Women, especially young women, appreciate in a man not only his looks, but also how he feels in his body, how full of vitality he is. Now, let's think about it. Are you ready to spend 15 minutes a day to do a simple exercise? Are you willing to walk an extra stop instead of taking a cab? Think about it. After all, at the end of the day, it is your physical condition that will play a major role in how long you can enjoy your life and, of course, your relationships with young women. How do you keep your body toned? Maybe you have your own secrets. Share them in the comments. I'm really interested to know what you do to keep in shape. Now let's get back to where we started, your habits. You know, one of the hardest things for men to do is to recognize that it's time to stop. To stop and look at your life from a different angle. When you're young, you can afford to live in the here and now, to think only about today. But with age comes the realization. Your habits begin to work against you. For example, the same masturbation. After all, it is not only a way to relieve tension, but also a huge waste of energy, which could go to something much more useful. Think about it, how much time are you wasting on habits that don't benefit you in any way? Instead of looking for a woman, instead of working on yourself and maintaining your body, you're wasting time on things that bring you nothing but fleeting pleasure. But after all, energy is a resource that needs to be channeled in the right direction. So it's time to rethink your habits. Find new ways to give your life meaning and energy. And if you're ready to take that step, believe me, your life will change in the most amazing way. And here's a question for you to ponder. What habits could you change today to channel your energy into something truly valuable? Write your thoughts in the comments. I'm always interested to hear how you approach your development. So, you've probably already guessed it. In order to give your life meaning and gain youthful energy, you need to step outside of your usual patterns of behavior. But what does that mean? It means you need to stop wasting your time on useless things and start investing in what really matters. In your health, in your relationships, in your future. When you get older, one of the biggest pitfalls is isolation. People start to drift away from you, or perhaps you yourself drift away from them. But just at this time of life, it's a good time to surround yourself with new people, new ideas, and of course, new emotions. Socializing with young people can be the very energy boost you need to get a taste of life again. There's a reason I say that a young woman has the power to bring you back to life. It's not just about sex, as you might think. It's about energy exchange. When you're around a young, active person, you involuntarily start to adjust to that rhythm. You want to move again, to do something new, to discover opportunities that you never thought of before. And you know what the most interesting thing is? The more you put into a relationship, the more you get in return. But it's important to remember that it's not a one-gate game. Young energy requires commitment, like I said. You will have to work on yourself, change your thinking, reconsider your old habits, and rebuild your relationship with the world. But that's the meaning of life, isn't it? Constant development, searching for new things, striving for the best. Let's talk about wisdom. Wisdom comes with experience, but unfortunately, not everyone uses it correctly. Many men over 60 fall into the state of, I already know everything, I have nothing to learn. And this is the biggest mistake. Because, as my life experience shows, it is never too late to learn. Do you think that your years give you an advantage? Of course they do. You know what you want, you've seen the world, you've been through different situations. But here's the question. How do you use this experience? If you think that youth is something distant and inaccessible, you are wrong. In fact, your experiences can be the key that opens the door to new relationships with younger women. Women are often looking for a partner who can give them something more than just outward attractiveness. And this is where your life experience plays an important role. You can offer her confidence, stability, and that emotional maturity I mentioned earlier. But that doesn't mean you have to be boring. On the contrary, the more you are willing to open yourself up to new things, the more interesting you become. So, my dear friend, it's time to shed that old cloak of the sage who supposedly knows everything and start living again. Use your experiences to build new relationships. And trust me, if you put your heart into it, life will reciprocate. What do you think is more important? Accumulated life experience or willingness to change and evolve? Share your thoughts in the comments because there is no one right answer to this question. Well, here we come to one of the most sensitive topics. The question of sexual energy. You know, my dears, I always say, sexual energy is not just pleasure, it is the foundation of life. How many times have I seen men waste it, not even realizing that every time they exercise it alone, they are depriving themselves of an important resource. I have been a physician and have had hundreds of patients pass through my hands who have experienced problems in adulthood due to mismanagement of their energy. And as we age, we begin to realize that everything we do to our bodies has consequences. And masturbation is no exception. No, I'm not saying it's wrong, but let's look at it from a different perspective. Every time you choose the path of solitary gratification, you lose some of your power that could be channeled into more productive endeavors. That energy could have gone into creating a real connection with a woman, giving her pleasure and getting so much more in return. Emotional and physical satisfaction. And it's moments like these that can revitalize you, breathe new life into you. By the way, did you know that in Eastern philosophy, for example, in Taoism, there is a concept of preserving vital energy through the control of sexual needs? This art is called Xian, and it teaches that men can literally keep themselves young and prolong their lives by controlling this energy. Maybe you should think about it too. Think about it. What's better? A fleeting pleasure alone or a fulfilling relationship with a woman where you can exchange energy and grow stronger together? I'm sure you have a lot to think about. Share your thoughts in the comments. I'm really interested to know your opinion. Now that we've dealt with the importance of managing your energy properly, let's talk about how to attract a young woman and, more importantly, keep her interest. After all, it's one thing to get her interested, and quite another to make her want to stay with you for a long time. Here the key factor will be confidence. And not that confidence, which shows that you know everything and you have nothing to learn, but the one that says that you are open to new things, that you are ready to grow and change with her. A young woman wants to see a man who is not afraid to move forward, who is not stuck in the past, but continues to look for new opportunities, to learn and develop. This is where emotional maturity comes into play again. If you can show a woman that you are not just a man who wants to get her, but someone who is ready to support, care and share his life energy, believe me, she will stay with you. But there is another important point. It is your physical condition. We've already talked about how important it is to keep your body in shape, but I want to emphasize it again. A young woman will look at you and evaluate not only your experience but how active you are, how full of life you are. The more lively and energetic you are, the more likely she will stay by your side. Now think about this. What are you willing to do to attract and keep a young woman in your life? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd be interested to hear how you approach this question. Well, we've already discussed how important it is to properly manage your sexual energy and attract a young woman. Now let's talk about how to retain that energy and constantly fill your life with youth. After all, it's one thing to find a woman, and another to build a relationship with her that will energize you for years to come. You've probably heard that relationships are work. But that work should be enjoyable. When you begin a relationship with a young woman, it's important to realize that for her, vitality goes hand in hand with an emotional connection. If you learn how to create that connection, where every moment is filled with genuine emotion, you can draw strength from each other. It's a true exchange, and it only works when both are invested in the relationship. Here's what else is important: your ability to adapt. We all know that the world changes, people and their needs change. But when you are young at heart, you are able to change with the world. A young woman will not stay close to someone who is frozen in the past and does not want to move forward. You should be open to everything new, whether it's new technology, new ideas, or new ways of communicating. Remember that relationships are a dance, not a competition. You need to learn to listen and understand your partner, to respond to her needs and desires. And here is where I want to share another important piece of advice with you. My years of experience have shown that men who know how to listen and be attentive much longer keep the relationship than those who just pretend to understand everything. So if you want to keep a young woman by your side, be considerate, not only to her desires, but also to your own. Find a balance that energizes you both, and you'll see your life transformed. Now let's talk about another important aspect of relationships in adulthood: mindfulness. When we are young, we often live on autopilot. We act out of habit, we don't think about the consequences, we do something because it is customary or because we want to do it here and now. But with age comes the realization that every action we take matters. Awareness in relationships is the ability to live in the moment, to be here and now, to understand what is happening to you and your partner, to feel what you are giving and what you are getting in return. When you begin to live consciously, your relationship will reach a new level. This is especially important for men as they mature. After all, mindfulness allows you to enjoy every moment, to live each interaction more fully and richly. And this, in turn, energizes you with energy and vitality. You no longer waste energy, no longer squander yourself on trivialities. Instead, you're directing it to where it does the most good, in your relationships and in your life. And here's another point: pleasure. Yes, specifically pleasure. In adulthood, it's important not just to live but to enjoy life. But not those fleeting pleasures that give short-term satisfaction, but deep, conscious pleasure that comes from your relationship with your partner and yourself. Think about it. How often do you really enjoy life? Are you living in the moment, or are you constantly worrying about the future or stuck in the past? How could you bring more mindfulness into your life to make it fuller and more fulfilling? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd be interested to know how you feel about this issue. Dear viewers, since I am not yet able to dub the video myself, I am using artificial intelligence for dubbing. If you notice any mistakes or inaccuracies, let me know in the comments. Your help will make the content better. Today we talked about a lot of things: the importance of managing your sexual energy, how to find and keep a young woman, how to keep your body toned, and how to adapt to new realities. And most importantly, we discussed that real relationships in adulthood require not only physical activity, but also emotional maturity, awareness, and deep understanding. Remember one thing: your energy is your most valuable resource. And how you use it determines what your life path will be. With each passing year, opportunities may seem limited, but in fact, maturity opens new doors. All you need to do is choose the right path. Stop wasting your energy on nothing and channel it into creating real, fulfilling, and meaningful relationships. Remember that age is not a judgment. It is an experience that can be used to fill your life with joy, love, and new discoveries. And if you have a woman who shares your energy with you, you are already halfway to true happiness. Live consciously, be attentive to yourself and those around you. Life is beautiful at any age, if you know how to manage your resources and are not afraid to open up to new things.